Our asphalt odyssey almost ends in disaster when we encounter an ice storm at 11,000 feet on top of Wolf Creek Pass in the Colorado Rockies. We are pelted with ice, watched lightning strikes all around us before getting stranded by the road conditions.
John, this is ice. What are we going to do?
Spoiler alert, we did not die, but it did give us one heck of a story.
It is just a gorgeous, gorgeous morning, soaking it in.
You know, I'm very fond of saying that when the plan falls apart, that's when the real story begins. Well, this is a really good story.
Yeah. So it was a beautiful morning in Durango. The temperature was a little bit crisp, about 46 degrees Fahrenheit, a little nippy, but the skies were blue and clear, and it was a great morning for a ride. So we got going, and we were just enjoying the day. We decided to stop in Pagosa Springs for coffee, and we sat outside. It was up to 70 degrees by then, and we were just thinking, oh, this is a cute town. We should come back and just spend some time in Pagosa Springs. And we set out again, and we could see the Rockies and all their splendor in front of us. It was just beautiful. It was really wonder and awe. That's where I was in my head.
And this is the last little town that we stop in before we take on the mountain, which we have to go over the mountain, and to go over the mountain we take Wolf Creek Pass, which is a pretty famous section of highway in southern Colorado. So we were sort of looking forward to it. So I had all the cameras fully charged and ready to go so I could really document this really scenic drive.
Yeah. So as we approached the mountain, we knew that we were in for something because there was a very dark cloud that was actually casting a shadow across the mountain. But, you know, we have excellent rain gear. It was the middle of June. We really weren't worried about it.
Exactly. When we got a little higher, the temperature got a little cooler, but that was okay. I knew it really wasn't a very long ride over to the next town, with this, I believe, is South Fork. So we maybe a 30-minute, 45-minute ride at the most. So even if we got a little damp, we knew that once we got across the mountain, the temperature would warm right up and we would air dry pretty quickly. So I really wasn't worried. Once we got a little higher in altitude, we began to experience some precipitation.
So it did start to rain, a very cold rain. And then we heard things bouncing off the Spyder, and we realized, oh no, it's hail. And then we realized it wasn't just hail, it was like hail mixed with sleet. It was an ice storm, just incredible.
I don't know if it was a hailstorm or a sleet storm or both, but the consistency of the size was about that of a large pea, and they were perfectly round, and ice on the road is perfectly round. Started making the Spyder feel weird, sort of like trying to drive across marbles that have been coated in oil. And I would turn the Spyder one direction and it would go the other direction. It was a little disconcerting on those mountain roads.
Yeah. So we pulled over, and that was a little bit concerning too, because it was kind of not really a soft shoulder, but I don't know, it just didn't feel secure to me. There wasn't really anything to protect us from the edge of the mountain, and we were on an incline, so both of us couldn't get off the Spyder at the same time. John had to keep his foot on the brake while I hopped off to put my gear on, and then I think I took my turn and he got his gear on.
So once we got the rain gear on, we were trying to figure out what the solution was. We could either stay there, which was not going to work, or we can continue down the mountain. And that really wasn't my favorite idea either, but I figured we had to give it a try because a snowplow had just come by and cleared a section of roadway, so we would give it a shot. But the problem was that the accumulation of the ice was really, really quick. So by the time we got in motion and traffic cleared, there had already been another layer of ice laid down behind the snowplow. So we began to move forward, and I saw blue sky on the horizon. So I said, this is going to be a really short-lived thing. We just got to make it across to that blue sky area. Lightning strikes were occurring all around us. We were watching the strikes on the summits to the left and to the right, and hear the thunder, and it was behind us, and there was no place to go. There was no shelter. We were out in the open with just our motorcycle gear. There were no buildings, and I felt a little vulnerable.
Yeah, a lot vulnerable. And when we pulled over the second time and were stuck in the ice, I was really beginning to feel cold. My boots, I was wearing the wrong boots. They leaked. My feet felt really cold, frozen, and my teeth were starting to chatter. So we saw some cars that were stuck in the ice also, and we looked across the road, and there seemed to be a complex of buildings, but no sign of human life. So we're thinking, maybe if there's somewhere we could just, warm up for a few minutes, maybe that would help. But about that time, a gentleman drove out of that complex in a pickup truck, and we approached him, and I'd never done this before in my life, but we asked if I could sit in his truck because I was so chilled. And he was a very nice man. He agreed, and so we did that. And I remember asking him, is this normal weather for Colorado in mid-June? And he said, no. The weather is bipolar this year. So we had an idea of what, we had heard that before, but now we had an idea of what that meant. And that he understood that the weather was going to last for another 6 hours. It was not letting up before then.
Which is not in our game plan. We had pulled over in an area where other vehicles had pulled over, and as soon as I did it, I realized I'd made a mistake. Because the snowplow, which had gone the other direction, had left a snowbank of about 6 to 8 inches that we had crossed to get stopped. But once we were stopped, we couldn't get going again. The back wheel would just spin. So we were in a pickle. We couldn't go anywhere. In the area we were in, as Miriam said, appeared to be some sort of complex of buildings. A thought crossed my mind, we're getting hypothermic, the weather's not letting up, lightning all around us. We may have to go break into one of those buildings just to get it into some shelter, because it was literally degrading into a survival situation.
So as we're trying to figure out what to do, the snowplow comes by again and stops to chastise John a little bit for being on the shoulder where he shouldn't be.
Because I was interfering with the snowplow operations.
Yeah.
What he also did was, instead of just going up the highway, he passed us to the right, which was on that extended shoulder area, and blazed a path for us. We could not go forward, but once he had blazed a path and cleared the area behind us, we were able to back up, get into his area where he had cleared it, and then get back out onto the highway. Routine for him, but I think he saved the day.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't, you didn't just drive off.
Oh, no. And the Spyder has a unique safety protocol that when the back wheel is spinning, the computer knows it shouldn't be doing that. So the transmission would take itself out of gear with a very loud clunking sound. I was sure the transmission in the Spyder was tearing itself apart because it just kept doing that. But we finally were able to inch it out of the snow and get out onto the highway again.
Yeah. So we get back on the road. I really don't know if we're going to make it down or not. It's the most nerve-wracking experience of my life. And, I kept telling myself, well, we're just going to get through it. We're going to get through it or we're not. There's not a lot of, there's no sense in worrying about it. Nothing I could really do. And I guess what really added insult to injury is that we can't see through our visors at this point because of the ice. So I'm riding with my visor up, and this 18-wheeler comes from the opposite direction and just throws ice on my face, and it was painful. And I just I'll never forget that feeling of being cold, wet, and teeth chattering, and then ice thrown in my face. It was just awful.
Our rain gear did the job it was supposed to do. Unfortunately, we were already wet before we put the rain gear on. And then the 18-wheeler did us the courtesy of basically throwing what would be equivalent to a wheelbarrow load of slushy ice all over us, and a lot of it went into my boots, and I think your boots also.
Yeah.
So we were drowned in the water.
Yeah.
Our boots were absolutely full of water.
Yeah. But I gained a new appreciation for John's ability to drive, and was very grateful when we found a place to stop on the bottom of the mountain.
I just want to help paint the situation and why I thought it was so incredibly potentially dangerous. We were already suffering from head colds, so our decision-making ability was not at 100%. We were at 11,000 feet of altitude, so hypoxia was also working against us to affect our decision making. And then hypothermia was setting in. When you start shivering uncontrollably, that's hypothermia stage 1. That also impairs your decision making ability. So I knew that we needed to get off that mountain as soon as we can. So that's why one of the reasons we elected to continue down the mountain.
I don't know what other decision we could have made. Truthfully, we didn't have any choices in terms of places that we could shelter in. Not even a lean-to.
Correct.
Nothing like that.
Correct.
Okay, so we agreed we would stop at the first place we came to, and it just happened to be a family-owned cabin rental place. So, and it seemed to have a gas station, but I don't think they actually sold gas. So we went in and asked if they had coffee, and she did. She made some for us, and we tried to change out of our wet clothes just so that we could warm up a bit. And my feet, I couldn't feel my toes. They were completely numb. So she gave me foot warmers, which I was very grateful for, and put them in my boots. That, with new socks, that helped a lot. John didn't take the foot warmers because he thought he was okay.
That was a mistake.
But a very kind woman, enjoyed meeting her and appreciated her hospitality. She wouldn't take any money for the favor that she extended to us.
The coffee or the foot warmers. Once we realized we were going to get back on the road again, I wanted to thank the young lady for helping us out. Our video gear was depleted. Either our discs were full, the batteries were dead, with the exception of one of our little handheld video cameras. So I took that and shot a quick interview with her to put it on this video to kind of plug the place. So if you're ever in the area, share the love. She was instrumental in helping us survive this trip. Well, we survived the ice storm on top of Wolf Creek Pass, and we came across a little hotel, convenience store, gas station at the bottom. Walked in here, and the young lady was good enough to give us some coffee, and we changed some dry clothes. Our waterproof stuff is absolutely soaked. This is our young little friend there. Say hi.
Hi.
So we're getting ready to put on some. I got the camera all. I'm using the wrong camera for this, but someone with a battery that still remains. So, anyway, tell us about you and your store and your operation here.
Hi, we're the Wolf Creek Ranch Ski Lodge, and we're on Wolf Creek Pass, and we have 8 motel rooms and 5 cabins. And if you're looking for a good vacation in the mountains, we're here.
Very good. How long y'all been here?
I've been here for 36 years. I
Wow.
was born here.
Here?
It's a family business.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah, we're a family deal.
And you saved many motorcyclists' life coming down the mountain who were frozen like we were.
Oh yes, the mountain bites back when it rains.
Yes.
But it's a pretty drive. You can't.
Oh, it's
beat it.
gorgeous, but the weather was atrocious. Cool. All right.
Thanks for having me on. Hope y'all come see us, guys.
So our intent was to head on down the road to Salida, where we had reservations for the night at an Airbnb. And that was kind of the halfway point to Colorado Springs.
It's about another maybe 2 hours from where we were at to Salida. We had 2 more hours of riding to do.
Yeah, but we hadn't been on the road but maybe 45 minutes when we decided we would stop at a convenience store and maybe get a hot beverage.
I was still quite hypothermic. I was still shivering uncontrollably, even though I was mostly dry, except for my feet. Even though I put on dry socks, the boots were damp, so I was still suffering from hypothermia.
Yeah. So we realized that we realized that we weren't going to make it to Salida, that we needed to kind of regroup. So we asked the clerk at the convenience store for a hotel recommendation, and he said there was one about 15 minutes down the road in Monte Vista. So that's what we decided to do, which ended up being an excellent decision.
Yeah, I could not wait to get into a hot shower and drink large amounts of warm fluids. I knew that I was in trouble with the hypothermia, and I knew I had to do something about it.
Yeah.
So we made it to the hotel, got checked in, and as luck would have it, they were hosting a bunch of motorcyclists made up of first responders. So firefighters. So
we found our people.
We found our people. It's like, oh, good, a lot of paramedics here. So if we need help, we were okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a cool hotel. It was an older hotel, but clean and comfortable. A nice restaurant nearby. But on one side of the room, we could look out and see just the span of the Rockies. Really, really gorgeous. And on the other side, we could sit on our hotel bed and look out the window and watch a movie. They actually had a drive-in theater there, and with sound controls in the room. I'd never seen anything like that before. It was called the Movie Manor Best Western at Monte Vista, Colorado. So very interesting.
Nice little hotel, and I can tell you that I took a very long hot shower, and then I filled the tub up with the hottest water that I could stand. And while I'm laying in the tub with the hottest bath water I could tolerate, I'm still shivering and my insides were still cold.
Yeah.
I think about an hour later I was able to get out of the tub and put on some dry clothes. And I got to tell you, at that point, my energy level was absolutely spent. I was useless for the next 24 hours after that.
And you know, it's interesting how when you're in the moment, your adrenaline kind of kicks in and you just do what needs to be done. But when we finally had a chance to unwind that evening, it was really kind of scary to think what could have happened in that situation. And you know, maybe an important lesson learned about checking the weather for every stop along the way.
It never crossed my mind that we're going to experience that type of adverse weather on top of that mountain.
Yeah, it was probably 90 degrees at home that day.
Yeah, and the ride after we left the gas station and before we got to the hotel, the temperature was in the high 60s, so it wasn't like it was cold outside. But when you're damp and already hypothermic, you're not going to get any better. So I have to say that's probably one of the few times in my life, and there have been a few, where I was actually in really close to a real survival situation where we had to make some pretty tough choices just to make sure that we were going to get out of that unscathed.
Yeah. So if humans have 9 lives the way cats do, I think we used one up.
And had it been just a routine trip across Wolf Creek Pass, this video would have been just a little bit of music, a little bit of scenery, and a little bit of dialogue. But this just made it a better story. I kind of wish we hadn't experienced it, but we did. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. We do make it to Colorado Springs and had a good time there. Although we were a little slower paced. Had a really good time. Shot a lot of good videos. So some more videos to come.
More to come.
So if you haven't pressed that little bell button or the subscribe button, which is down here somewhere or over here, please do so. And we look forward to making another video for you, having it up next week.
Y'all take care.
Bye-bye.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Feel free to leave a comment below.